Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So my name is Kalila here. Today we're going to learn chapter number 4, which is on recruitment and selection. Please take note that the video for this chapter I will make it into two different videos. One is for recruitment and one is for selection, but both of them is in chapter number 4. Alright, so these are the chapter outline. First, we're going to see on the recruitment itself, the labor market and the recruiting process, the sources and alternatives for recruiting, and for the second part later on, it's on the selection process, the criteria, and also the techniques. Right? So guys, first of all, what is recruitment? Okay, so to understand it, we must look at the definition. Recruitment is basically for the company to find and or attracting applicant for employers open position, meaning they have a job vacancies in the organization and now they want to find people who want to apply to fill in the job itself, right? So that is the first definition. The longer definition is the process of attracting individuals on a timely basis in sufficient numbers with appropriate qualifications and encouraging them to apply for jobs with an organization. So it's basically the company want to find candidate to fill in the job vacancies that they have in the organization itself, right? So before we go further, just take note that I will focus on the things that I feel quite important. Not saying that the other content of this chapter is not important, but the other you need to read on your own and study on your own. It's due to the time constraint and I don't want to make the videos too lengthy, for you guys to listen and watch. Alright, so basically when the company want to find people to fill in the vacancies in their organization, the decision that they have that they are making on what type of person that they are recruiting, what number that they're recruiting, it is basically linked with the business strategies and also the recruiting strategies itself. Okay, so whatever that the effort being done for recruitment, they would have to consider the firm strategy. For example, if they want to focus in increasing the numbers of sales or the sales figures, they might consider to find more sales staff. Alright, if they want to go for innovations, they might want to find those people with relevant qualification that could help the company to focus on that thing. Alright, so an important component or content for this chapter is the elements of recruiting strategy that involve when a company wanted to do recruitment. Okay, so you can refer to your textbook if you have with you. It's on page 154, figure 5.1. Sorry. Okay, so these figures actually shows the various elements that the company need to consider when they want to do recruitment itself, right? Recruitment, remember, we want to find people to apply for jobs in our organization. Alright, so there are 6 elements here. Started with brand, focus, location, methods, timing, and also decision. Okay, never mind, we're going to look at one by one. So first thing first, the company need to realize that when they do recruitment, they actually have to compete with other company in terms of whether people actually have interest to work with them, right? So do people actually wanted to apply for jobs in their organization or not? Sometimes this interest by the people itself is influenced by the brand of the company possess. Okay, what is branding? If you want to buy stuff, we actually influenced by the brand itself, right? So some brand you believe that it would have high quality of products or good features, or the design that you like. Okay, so company also have brands, and usually these brands the company would have to create to portray themselves that their company is a desirable place to work for. Okay, so why does the company need to have a good branding? One, if the company have a strong brand, it would lower the hiring cost. Okay, because people usually would be interested to work with that company. They have like a very good working environment, or they portray that working in that company is like fun, or the working environment is good in terms of the benefit package that they receive is good. Okay, and company with strong brand usually will have lesser turnover than the company with a weaker brand. Okay, and branding is particularly helpful in other countries where applicants are familiar with the company itself. So remember, we learned in chapter number 1 that recruitment nowadays is not only within the country itself, but it's open nowadays due to the globalization itself. Okay, so people from other countries also could be your potential workers. Alright, so and the methods include the following for branding. Satu, you need to consider, first you need to consider the applicant is like a customer itself, and you need to give what they want. So basically the salary must be good, the benefit package, the working environment, for example. And nowadays more and more company reach out to their potential workers via social networks or social media like LinkedIn, Facebook, even Instagram, Twitters. Alright, so whatever that they portray in their social media account, it could influence people's interest in working with that company itself, right? So first, remember, when you want to do recruitment, you need to consider your company's branding itself, whether it has a whether it could influence people interest to work with your company. Alright, number 2 is the focus. What do you mean by focus? It's actually what type of position that are needed. So and it will influence where can you get the candidate from. Okay, and usually the condition of the labor market itself will affect the recruiting plan. This is due, for example, during the periods of high unemployment, an organization can feel it needs from unsolicited resumes and applicants and from the internal labor market itself. What do you mean by unsolicited resumes? It's actually those resumes that applicant send to them maybe via emails or walk-ins, the hard copy, without you actually advertise any job vacancies. No advertisement in job vacancies, but due to high employment, there's a lot of people who doesn't have work. They just apply to the company itself. All right. And internal labor markets is actually they just hire from within the organization the current staff that they have. And in tight labor market with low unemployment, if you need new staff, you actually, or the company actually, might consider to use heavy advertisement or using a local employment agencies to help them to do recruitment itself. Alright, so I hope you are clear with focus itself, where you want to get the candidate to fill in the vacancies. Alright, it could be from internal or external, and it's usually influenced by the unemployment rate, right? Okay, so now we move on to the third element, the location itself. Okay, the location, where can they get the talent from? Okay, so the question here, the location, where do we need the talent and where we will find it? One, where do you need the talent to work? The location, whether it's urban area or in the non-urban area, and where will the company can find the candidate from. So usually candidates, there are two major sources. First is internally, like I've mentioned in the second elements, or the second one, the second major sources of recruitment is from the external candidate. Right, external candidate you can find outside the company itself. Internally, you are using someone who is working with you in the company itself. All right, so the company actually need to consider few things, whether they want to include internally or externally, because both have pros and cons. So you need to like really analyze the situation itself, or you want to go to regional recruiting market or globally. Nowadays, global people can apply for jobs across countries because it's due to globalization. We are more open in terms of recruitment. All right. So please bear in mind, first branding, second focus, third is the location itself. This will influence the recruiting effort or the strategy that the company need to consider. Alright, the fourth element is timing. When do the company need the talent itself? Right? What is the appropriate time? When is the appropriate time for the company to do recruitment? And this will have impact in terms of the strategies that they want to implement. Alright, so if you have succession plans, when you need to start the succession plans, okay, the company need to prioritize the fillings job that maybe have the biggest impact on the firm's financial results. And also the company need to consider the length of the recruiting process. Okay, the length. Sometimes the company might have some difficulties to find suitable candidates, so the time to fill in the vacancies is actually longer, right? So next element is the methods itself. Okay, so these methods usually address the question, how do the company find the talent itself, right? So the methods will depends on several factors. For example, the type of person that you want, the company want, the type of jobs, okay, the technology that could be used, and also the sources of applicant internally or externally. All right, technology use. Are you just going to rely on job search websites like Job Malaysia or Job Streets, or you want to consider of using the social media itself? More and more company nowadays advertise on their Facebook account, on their Instagram, for example, and also another website that help in terms of recruitment nowadays are LinkedIn. Alright, so guys, and the last elements of a recruiting strategy is the decision. Okay, now who made the decision itself, and who makes the final hiring decision? Alright, so it depends on the size of the organization itself, but regardless who does the recruiting itself, they must have a good understanding of the knowledge, skills, abilities, experiences, and other characteristics required for the job. So meaning those people who are making the decision of whom to be recruited must understand the job that you are filling. Why? Because we want to find the best candidates to fill in the job itself, right? So I hope the explanation is clear on the elements of recruitment. There are 6 altogether. Please do further reading on this from your textbook. Yeah. Okay, guys. So now we're going to look at the methods that the company can use to find candidates. So there are two primary locations to find candidates. It's either from external or internal sources. So the focus of this section is actually to look at both external and internal recruiting methods. Alright, so just a reminder, external, we find candidates who are not our current employees outside the organization itself. Internal, you could fill in the vacancies using your current staff, maybe working in different departments or holding different positions. So figure 5.2 is the figure showing the external sources of recruitment. So actually there's a lot of sources that could be used, and it could be more than this. Okay, so I'll see which one we need to focus on. Okay, so these sources, it differs in terms of the effort being done by the company and also the applicant itself. Okay, the applicant on the passive effort, for example, is via advertisement, employee referrals, search firms. Okay, on the more active effort being done by the applicant, if they want to find jobs, it's like the walk-ins or job fairs, or via educational institution that they're learning or furthering their studies. Okay, so next we're going to look at one by one. First is advertisement. Usually people can advertise in newspapers, or even on post it somewhere that people could see, and also let me think, on certain magazines that relates to the business that they are doing. But usually people will, or the company would advertise in on their on the newspaper itself. All right, so what are the some advantage of advertisement itself? Is it could reach large audience, okay, of possible applicants. So you need to know if you are advertising on newspaper, which newspaper that you feel more suitable to advertise your vacancies in the company itself, because the readers might have different group of people reading certain kind of newspaper. Okay, however, if you want to do advertisement for the vacancies itself, it might involve a longer time period, because you need to prepare the content itself. You need to have some requires creativity in terms of developing the design, also the content itself, to make it attractive for people to apply for the job itself. Okay, the second one is walk in or and unsolicited resumes and applicants. So like I've mentioned, sometimes the company doesn't advertise anything, doesn't have any vacancies, but the applicant just go to the company itself, just submit the resume, or via emails they just emails the resume. All right, it could be a good source of recruiting methods, because people are actually have a lot of effort to do that without knowing whether there is a vacancy or not. Okay, the third one is internet. Now this is among the most common use, okay, for job seekers and also recruiters. So usually, why does people choose internet? Because it's cheaper, faster, potentially usually more effective. Okay, and also it could help in terms of the recruiting process. You could post your vacancies in job searching website like JobStreet, Job Malaysia, for example. Okay, so it's also include the social media. Alright, so remember, if you want to answer the question, if the question asks you on the external recruiting methods, I do accept the internet and social media as two different main point. Okay, next one is social media. Okay, firms are nowadays using social media like Facebook, LinkedIn, even Instagram to recruit employees, because sometimes the focus is to attract the passive job seekers. What is passive job seekers? People who are not looking for a job currently, but could be persuaded to take a new one if given the right opportunity. So people might have interest when they just came across your advertisement on the social media itself. Oh, there's an opening in that company, so actually they might consider to apply even though they are not actively looking for jobs right now. Next one is mobile recruiting, like sending messages on the mobile device, but it's less being done nowadays. Okay, there's few concern, for example, whether the message is actually legit or not, or it's a scam. Okay, there are few concern there. Next one is job fairs. Okay, usually people will have job fairs. There's an organizer that organize a job fair, usually in Malaysia, maybe in Persada, JB, in MITC Malacca, if in KL, the KLCC, the Mid Valley usually are the venues that the organizer choose to do job fairs. Okay, so it's like a job carnival whereby companies will set up their booth there, and people who went to the job fair could go to the company the company that they are interested to apply, and also send or do their application there. And also job fair, besides the physical job fair, sometimes there are virtual job fairs that are being done by the company itself, where they encourage people to go to the website on a particular day to submit their application for the open position that they have. Okay, next one is employee referrals. Usually it's just a recommendation, okay, by the staff itself, the current staff. They recommend people to work for the company itself, and sometimes company could give some rewards if the recommended person is being recruited. Next, recruiting, we actually maintain the relationship, or the company actually maintain the relationship with former employees, and if they need them back to work with the company itself, they can actually ask. Okay, so it's like what happened now in Malaysia. So the Ministry of Health are looking for additional staff, medical staff. So they actually do recruiting for those nurses that have left the ministry itself. Okay, besides that, we have executive search firms. This is employment agencies. Usually help the company itself to find suitable candidate to fill in the key position, like the CEO, right? And besides that, it is also known as headhunters, right? Next is educational institutions like the high school, the community college, the universities, via internships, okay, professional association and labor union, public employment agencies, those agencies under the government like Jabatan Tenaga Kerja, for example, the private employment agencies, staffing agencies, independent contractors, and also employee leasing. Right? So guys, those are the sources for external recruitment, okay, that the company could use to help them to find suitable candidate to apply for the jobs in the organization or their organization itself. Okay. Alright, so next we move on to the internal recruitment methods. Okay, usually what the company do is that if they have job vacancies above the entry level, okay, meaning not junior executive or executive, above that maybe senior executive, maybe assistant manager, maybe manager, usually company will try to do via promotions or transfer. So if I say promotion, meaning they promote their existing staff that have the skills needed and also the qualification to fill in the vacancies itself. Okay, and also by promoting employees, it would reward the employee itself for the performance that they have contributed to the company itself, and it will boost the motivation of the staff itself. Alright, so the internal recruitment methods, there are a few. First is internal job posting. So they actually advertise internally via bulletin boards. Okay, in companies, sometimes they do have bulletin boards where they post certain updates, and this include the vacancies available or via the intranets network in the company itself. Okay, big organization usually have some sort of like a website for their staff to go, and also usually they would post the vacancies there. So if their current staff saying vacancies available and they have interest to fill in the job itself, okay, they might request, but please remember it is subject for approval via their current management and also those department that need staff itself. Okay, so settle for internal job posting. Second one, via performance appraisal. Okay, this is for promotion. Usually the decision to promote whom is based on their performance appraisal result. Next is skill inventories. Okay, we learn skill inventories in chapter number 2. Okay, usually company will store the data of the employee itself in terms of their education background, the working experience, and also other relevant informations. And when there are vacancies in the organization itself, if they want to fill in internally, the company could refer to the skill inventories that they have to find the most suitable people with relevant qualification, for example, and also experience to fill up the open position. And last one is replacement chart. Okay, so if you look at your textbook or your slide, there is this figure 5.6, a 9-box grid. Okay, please read further on this. And the next section for internal recruitment or recruitment itself is how to improve the effectiveness of recruitment. Okay, we do not want to spend too long in recruiting, and also we doesn't want to spend too much money on recruiting because it is a cost for company itself. Alright, so how to improve? First, the company can use accurate job analysis. Need to have an accurate job analysis. Second one, the line manager and also the employees need to be intimately involved in the process itself, because the position is within the department and the head or the manager knows best what kind of person that he or she need to fill in the job itself. And after that, the person being hired, the firm should relook or debrief and identify any lesson to improve in the recruiting process. Okay, so next is some tools that could help the company in terms of improving the effectiveness. First is using realistic job preview. Okay, it will help to reduce down the shock when a person actually perform the job itself. Maybe though sometimes there are some negative aspect of the job itself, like long working hours, working under pressure, have to stand for a long time, but it's important for the company to advertise using a realistic job preview to avoid the unnecessary shock by the future employee. Next is via surveys and employee profiles, and also recruiting metrics that consist of few methods like time to fill calculation, quality to fill ratio, acceptance ratio, and also applicant tracking system. So you can read further on that. Okay, just take note, there's no calculation in this subject, so just read for your information, yeah guys. Alright, okay, so next is career management. Okay, usually a good company would not only recruit, but they will develop the staff or the talent that they have over time. Okay, they want their staff to progress in terms of their career development. So sometimes they could provide trainings and also help the staff to develop their career, right? So this is the step in career management process. So remember, it requires both effort from the organization and also the individual staff itself. If the staff doesn't want to progress, then whatever the organization do, it would be a waste of time. Okay, there are 4 stages. First, set the goal itself. Usually the company need to match the individuals and organization needs. Then identify the career opportunities and requirement. Third, they need to gauge the employees potential itself. Okay, using appraisal, establish the talent inventories and also succession plans, for example, and institute the career development initiative like provide self-assessment and workshop, career counseling, provide career self-management training, and so by giving feedback to the individual staff itself, right? And next is you can read on each stage in the career development process, and this is the figure for stages in career development based on the age group and also stages in career. We have preparation of work. This is usually you guys nowadays learning in universities to get qualification to work. Then when you join the organization, usually at the entry level, okay, junior executive for degree holders, and early career, you learn about the job, the organization rules and norms, and fit it into your chosen occupation and organization, and you are increase your competencies and pursue your personal goal in careers, mid careers age 40 to 55, and late career 55 to retirement age, right? Next we can see the career development initiative. We have the counseling, the mentoring, the tuition assistance program. Sometimes the organization will help to fund the study of their staff if they want to further the study. And remember, in your career later on, sometimes maybe one day you would have a stagnant stage in your career. It's called a plateau, career plateau. This is a situation in which, for either organization or personal reason, there is no probability of moving up the career ladder. Okay, maybe due to the organization structure, in terms of the content itself, meaning you have learned the job too well and you become bored of your day-to-day activities, or due to life plateau. So usually at this certain age like 40s, some people would have a midlife crisis. Yes, they're working for several years, but like at 40 years old, they rethink back what actually they need, what they want in their life. Sometimes people realize that they doesn't have interest in doing the job anymore. So that is a midlife crisis. Okay, and what else for recruitment? Let me see. How to develop a diverse talent pool. Okay, so organization might consider to employ women, minorities, but remember, minorities, there are certain age group that you could recruit as employees, but you cannot employ child labor in Malaysia. People with who are disabled, okay, these people who with disability also could help the organization, and sometimes to encourage company to employ disabilities person with disabilities. Some government provide what you call that, what's the right word, initiative. There are initiative by the government itself, and veterans and all the employees. These are the, beside different race groups, these are the type of group that the company might consider to employ. Alright, so I believe that's all for recruitment. So guys, most important in this chapter is the sources of recruitment, internal, external, then the elements of recruiting strategies. So please take note on that, and other as well. If I doesn't explain thoroughly, please read on your own. Okay guys, that's all for the first half of this chapter. See you.